Hey, howdy, hello. This is Tanya the Tour Guide bringing you another episode of New Orleans Secret Myths. This week we'll be covering a historical scandal of the century, a New Orleans true crime story. New Orleans, a city where secrets rot beneath the floorboards, where pirates buried fortunes, where ghosts linger in the courtyards, and where one man's obsession with the supernatural led to one of the darkest crimes in Louisiana history. A respected French dentist, a hypnotist, a practitioner of magnetism, a man obsessed with finding the lost treasure of Jean Lafitte, and at the center of it all, a 12-year-old girl named Juliette Deschamps, drugged repeatedly with chloroform, used as a spirit medium until one cold January day in 1889, she never woke up again. This is a scandal that horrified New Orleans. The city was alive with contradiction, aristocrats and laborers, Catholics and occultists, doctors and charlatans, saints and predators. The French Quarter was dense with life. Gas lamps flickered over white cobblestones, saloons poured absinthe until dawn, spiritualists held seances in candlelit parlors, and beneath it all, New Orleans remained obsessed with the unseen world. By the late 19th century, hypnotism, mesmerism, magnetism, seances, spiritual communication had become widely popular. Many believed the dead could speak. Others believed certain people, especially children, could act as conduits between worlds, and this belief would become deadly. Around 1888 through 1889, a French dentist arrived on St. Peter Street. His name, Etienne Deschamps. He was educated, refined, soft-spoken, charismatic. Though nearly 60 years old, he quickly earned the trust of the neighborhood. Deschamps practiced something called animal magnetism, a pseudo-scientific belief that invisible forces flowed through the human body. Practitioners claimed they could cure disease, manipulate emotion, induce trances, and contact spirits. To induce these states, Deschamps often used chloroform. At the time, chloroform was commonly medically, but it was dangerous. Too much could stop breathing entirely. Jules Deschamps and his daughter nearby lived, a struggling widowed carpenter and upholsterer. He supported his elderly mother, 9-year-old Lawrence, and 12-year-old Juliette. Life was hard, money was scarce, and Deschamps seemed kind. The dentist frequently bought the girls treats, invited them to his rooms, offered fruit and gifts, took them on walks. To the father, it appeared grandfatherly, but neighbors later recalled Deschamps seemed especially focused on Juliette. As Juliette grew older, Deschamps reportedly became possessive. One day he scolded her for spending time with the neighborhood boy, not like a family friend, like someone who believed he owned her attention. Deschamps believed Jean Lafitte had hidden treasure throughout Louisiana, but he believed the treasure could not be found traditionally. Instead, it required supernatural guidance. Deschamps became convinced Juliette possessed psychic abilities. He allegedly drugged her with chloroform, placed her into trance states, questioned her while unconscious, demanded visions of buried treasure. Some accounts claimed he believed she could communicate with spirits guarding Lafitte's fortune. Witnesses later described darkened rooms, candles, prolonged hypnosis, chemical fumes, strange questioning sessions. Whether Deschamps believed his own delusions or used them to justify abuse remains debated. One January day in 1889, Juliette and Lawrence visited Deschamps. Nothing seemed unusual until moments later. Lawrence came running home screaming, According to accounts, Lawrence burst into the apartment sobbing, "Papa, the old man killed Juliet." Neighbors rushed upstairs. The door was locked. Men slammed against it until it finally gave way, and inside, a nightmare. Juliet laid unclothed upon a bed. A chloroform silk cloth covered her face. Beside her, Etienne Deschamps, bleeding heavily after stabbing himself. Deschamps had attempted to take his own life, but failed. Juliet did not survive. The story detonated across New Orleans. Newspaper described chloroform, hypnosis, treasure hunts, spiritual rituals, a dead child, and a foreign doctor. The city became obsessed. The trial became a spectacle. Crowds packed the courthouse daily. Some believed Deschamps insane. Others believed him evil. Lawyers argued Deschamps was mentally unstable, obsessed with magnetism, delusional about treasure, incapable of rational thought. But prosecutors painted a darker picture, a manipulative predator hiding behind mysticism. Deschamps was convicted. The city demanded justice, and in 1892, he was sentenced to death. When the execution came, crowds gathered. Newspaper treated it like theater. Some claimed Deschamps remained eerily calm. Others said he muttered about spirits, treasure, and Juliet. Then the trapdoor opened. Soon after the execution, warders in the building reported sightings. A young girl wandered. Hallways, staircases, empty rooms, always appearing confused, lost, then vanishing. The location later became associated with the former Old Coffee Pot restaurant. Employees and visitors have long whispered about cold spots, phantom footsteps, childlike apparitions, unseen presences. Some say Juliet never left. This story, nearly every fear of the Victorian age, contains abuse of science, spiritual obsession, exploitation of children, hypnotic control, false mysticism, and a predator disguised as healer. In New Orleans, some monsters wore capes, some carried knives, and some wore polished shoes, spoke softly in French, and called themselves doctors. Behind the candles, the chloroform, and the whispers of pirate gold, a child lost her life. And somewhere along St. Peter Street, they say she still walks, searching for the way home. Thank you for joining me on this week's episode of New Orleans Secret Myths. Next week, follow along into our journey of vampires in New Orleans. Tanya the tour guide, thanking you for following, liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. If there are any stories that you'd like me to cover, comment down below. If you'd like to join me on a tour, please look in the description for a link where you can book a tour to walk those French Quarter streets along with me. Again, this has been Tanya the tour guide, New Orleans Secret Myths. I'll see you on the flip side.